Sorry. Thank you for your coming to our session. And this is a session named Building a Society for Women free from violence. And it's so happy to have several speakers from the government and NGO. And we are honored to have District 31 Longtime International host this program. And we are so happy to invite some very experienced and very experiencing social workers and governmental officers and NGOs representatives in our session. At this session, I'm the moderator of this session. And actually, I have done several research regarding violence against women from national perspective. And several surveys has been done showing how serious and situation and reality of domestic violence and intimate violence. And today we are going to tell you before our session. As you might know, Taiwan's gender equality has been ranking very well based on AUNGII, which is indicated that from the data, labor force, empowerment, and health. Since 1997, Taiwan's anti-violence against women's law has been well formulated, and including Domestic Violence Act, Sexual Assault Act, and Sexual Harassment and Gender Equality Education Act. And our topic will focus on how women's group can make difference addressing violence against women through global thinking and local action. And we are so happy to have the governor from the District 31, Longtime International, who has done a lot of community awareness to help us to understand and to express our idea, advocating the Longtang's mission, advocacy, and services. And also we have an NGO from the local organization called Modern Women Foundation, which has provided violence against women direct service and indirect service more than 30 years. And in addition to that, we also have person from the government, and the government will also show you, the governmental agency will also show you how is the situation in Taiwan we have, and show how it is the best practice from NGOs and others. So we are happy to have a governmental agency from the central government named the Protection Office, Protection Service Office of Welfare and Health. And then we will have a campus impact of violence against gender issues. So that's my last presentation, which I'm going to share with you. So specifically, I will introduce you later. So hopefully we can know each other better and share our vision and share our idea in this session carefully. And welcome to have your chat sharing, and we will return your question as much as possible. And now, can I have honor to introduce our first speaker? And our first speaker is President, the governor of District 31, Longtime International, and the governor now is for please.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Vivian Shen, Governor of District 31, Longtang International. I would like to talk about Orange the World campaign in Taiwan today and sharing with all the activities happened in Taiwan over the past few months. The first Longtang Club in Taiwan was formed in 1964. It means almost 56 years ago. Its goal is to empower women through service and advocacy. Zongta divided its 1,142 clubs into 32 districts as administrative territories. Taiwan and Mongolia constitute officer is governor, and I am district governor 2020 to 2022. Zongta says no to violence against women has been used as Zongta advocacy slogan for years. All Zongta clubs and districts are encouraged to take actions Sorry, we have some kind of interruption. Okay, here. Okay, now you can see a banner with our slogan, Zongta says no to violence against women. And also a picture with a frame of 17 SDGs with sum up of number 5 for gender equality. Orange the World, Ending Gender-Based Violence, actually launched by UNESCO, United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. The color orange symbolized a brighter future, free of violence, and the symbolic orange umbrella is featured. Under an umbrella, we stand united to fight physical, verbal, and emotional violence and say no to violence against women. You can see this orange umbrella, no to violence against women. During the 16 days of activism, 25 November to 10th December, the UNESCO encourages advocates to wear a touch of orange during advocacy or to illuminate city horticultures in orange. Through Orange the World campaign, Zongta clubs around the world are encouraged to raise their voices to create awareness to Zongta says no to violence against women at the same time. We can show you some highlights around Zongta world. See, Zongta Club of Men's members in Germany. They are all wearing an orange vest, hold up orange umbrella, and with a banner with Orange the World. And Zonta Club of Wiesbaden also illuminated a bridge over River Rhine. Okay, and more than 30 slips of paper with personal stories hung from a leash and made passers-by aware to the fact that violence against women is a prevalent violation of human rights. Now I'm going to talk about advocacy in District 31. Events and activities were held around the island of Taiwan by Zonta clubs. Some of them organized activities by themselves, but some others cooperated with the like-minded associations or local governments. You see, that's a kickoff. Orange the World campaign at Taipei Main Station after a club president held. Participants crossing arms and chanting "Zonta says no" at a cooking competition cooperated with a new immigrants association. And this one, Orange the World at a children's home, Longxins had a charity visit to the children's home prior to advocating. This one, Longxins wearing orange mask with Zonta logo and chanting Zonta says no with hand up like this gesture while marching along the street. This one is new immigrants in Hsinchu joining Longxins to say no to violence against women at a volunteer clinic hosted by Hsinchu Zonta. The following one is actually the activity cooperated with the Jiayi city government and Jiayi Zonta hosting food for thought, and Mayor Huang participating Zonta's Orange the World campaign as well. And this actually at a very busy harbor in Kaohsiung, Taiwan. Again, Orange the World. Zonta says no to violence against women. And this is the last one organized by Zonta clubs in District 31. Is organized by our newly formed student club called Golden Z Crescent, parading at a holiday market in a popular park. Now, we'll proceed to introduce advocacy by District 31. During the days of activism, District 31 held two activities to echo Orange the World campaign and advocate for Zonta says no to violence against women. The first one, actually, it was on 25th November, the first day of Orange Day. In the evening, almost 50 members of Zonta clubs from the northern part of Taiwan gathered at New Taipei City Hall. Members in orange t-shirts marched toward corridor decorated with orange flowers and lights nearby, waving banners and chanting, "Zonta says no to violence against women." Can see, truly, in the world of orange, so shining and stunning. The second one actually is on 9th of December, the eve of the conclusion of the activism. An actual activity cooperated with the new Taipei city government was held. The members of the diplomatic corps, including ambassadors and representatives, were invited. Mayor Ho Yo-yi joined and led the group in chanting, "No violence to women," behind a Zonta Says No banner. The event was covered by local news media and broadcast by television news networks. You can see the picture with Mayor Ho Yo-yi and many other members from diplomatic corps. Now I'm going to show a special produced video for your further understanding what District 31 has done for Orange the World over the past few months. We tried very hard to fulfill our goal, empowering women through service and advocacy, and hopefully to build a better world for women. Thank you for watching and listening. That concludes my assignment.
Hello, everyone. We need to come back to our next speaker. And thank you for the Governor Vivian Shen. She has done a great job for us to see how Taiwan can be a kind of a society that NGO has put a lot of effort to fight the violence against women through the community awareness program. As you have seen, so excited in last year. Over the island is full of the orange color because of campaign done by Zongtai International District 31. Thank you, Vivian. This is a great leadership for Taiwan from the NGO. And can I have second speaker, Stacia? Stacia is one of the club in Taipei called Taipei Cosmo in Zongtai District 31. And we are so happy she's a new president for our Taipei Cosmo. And she's going to share something very special, how witness domestic violence from kids' perspective. Can I have the honor to invite Stacia to share what they have done for the kids who witness domestic violence through the support of Zongtai International. And Stacia, the floor is yours. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Lillian. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Stacia Huang. I'm the club president of Taipei Cosmo. It is my pleasure to have the opportunity to present a project that benefits children exposed to domestic violence. See more, voice out. We, Zongtai 31, have been working with Good Shepherd Social Welfare Foundation, which pioneered the social services for children witnessing domestic violence in Taiwan. Let me start by asking a question. What are the consequences of witnessing domestic violence? The negative effects of enduring domestic violence may be widely acknowledged nowadays. However, the effects of witnessing violence are less known for those children who witness violence. While the physical abuse left visible signs, the trauma of witnessing stood invisible. That is why the trauma caused by witnessing violence has been overlooked. Children are usually the silent, indirect victims of family violence. In fact, exposure to violence affects children's development in many ways, such as emotional disturbing and behavior problems, causes such as their anxieties to the safety of their parent, emotional disturbance, fear, anger, and shame. Sometimes they even blame themselves for misunderstanding that violence is their fault. They may show behavior problems and face difficulties of learning social skills. These effects may have long-lasting effects to their adulthood and may involve a violent cycle. According to statistics from the Ministry of Health and Welfare, there are more than 100,000 domestic violence cases in Taiwan each year. And it is estimated that about 120,000 children have witnessed violence. The research has proved that witnessing domestic violence can lead children to develop an array of age-dependent negative effects. Research in this area has found the cognitive behavior and emotional effects of domestic violence. Children who witness violence in the home and children who are abused may display many similar psychological effects. And what can help their recovery? In order to help children suffering with invisible trauma, there are three main types of services provided nowadays to help recovery. The first, clinical services, case management, play therapy, parenting education, family therapy, group court service can all help. The second, network services, such as working with parents, teachers, social workers, judges, police, and doctors. And the third, children's rights advocacy, public policy initiatives to increase public awareness. Next, I would like to introduce the background of our partner in this program. Good Shepherd started the service for children's witness to violence in 1997. In women's shelter, we found not only victims need help, but their children also need help. In 2001, we established the Little Lamb Home Children Witness to Violence Service Center. It is the first center for witness children in Taiwan. And in 23 years, we accompanied more than 10,000 children to go through a trauma therapy, the recovery trip to find hope, strength, and courage. Now, creating a platform to benefit more children. How? With the complete service models to work with witness children, we decided to extend it further by building a network platform. See more. The reason why we choose website as a platform are, first of all, people often seek help due to people don't often seek help due to cultural factors. But thus providing a platform can make the information more accessible to the ones who need them. Users can usually browse through website anytime, anywhere, without any restriction, and also in their privacy. Most importantly, it is anonymous. Secondly, advocacy is most needed because this issue has been overlooked. By providing a website, it signifies our speaking for the rights of witness children. Last but not least, there may be resources in the research area for social welfare institutions that can help children. However, it takes time for the users to collect and digest information, and thus providing a platform where collected essential information will be indispensable. For the Sleep More website project, there are 3 versions. The first version is a professional version, which was completed in 2016. The second version is a parent version, completed in 2019. For the professional version, it provides professionals the needed information to help children. Professionals can have a better understanding of children, knowing the signs of traumatic behavior. Professionals in different fields, such as teachers and judges, can also learn skills to help children. For the parent version, it provides parents with parental education knowledge. Parents can get information about children development, parenting strategies, and useful resources. For the third version, which is See More children version, Voice Out. For the project goal, the target readers are the children witness to domestic violence. Children can express feelings and share their experiences with each other through this platform. Adults can better understand witness children, and society can raise awareness of this issue. The purpose of the children version is that their complicated world can be noted. How they interpret violence, what they think while suffering and surviving, knowing that they are not alone, sharing the same experiences, inspired by other stories, and it's an alternative way for them to move on, to learn self-healing skills, and to seek help. The content of the website contains the following parts: the valid negative influence of their development, what their experiences are, how do they recover from trauma, and not only me sharing the same experiences and voice out views and opinions. Based on the evaluation of website functions and available resources, the web planning is adjusted to short-term and long-term goals. For the short term, which is a basic version of the database functional website, it summarizes children's experiences and related information. For the long-term goal, advanced version of an interactive functional website, extending the functions of an interactive support board, exchange experience with Q&A responses. The basic version is planned to be implemented in 2021. It is estimated that the website design, functional testing, and website launch will be completed within 2 years. The advanced version will be evaluated after the basic version is launched. As you can see here with the basic version sitemap, there are 4 parts: my story, through case stories written by children, social workers, grown-up witness, and other adults. These articles can describe the appearance, growth experience, trauma effects, and family stories of witness children. Voice out, the children themselves express their feelings and thoughts through different creative forms, such as essays and pictures. Get support, each service center edits service content, such as pictures, photos, videos, artistic creations, etc. Using presentation with different themes to show children's self-growth and change through participation in activities. For the FAQ, a list of children's common questions, answer them by category, and explain relevant information. If you see here is a chart of the progress report, which they are broken down into 4 quarters in the year 2021. We have the collect and editing case stories, collect children's pictures, articles, category and editing FAQ, website design and server build, website function and evaluation test. Now, this above summarizes my presentation. We hope that through See More Voice Out website, more children, more witness children can be helped. I believe that through collective effort, possibilities for recovery may begin. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Stasia. And that's great information to share with us. And I think you have learned a lot because the kids is our asset in the world. So how can we help kids who witness the domestic violence? Otherwise, in their future, there will be disaster in the future of the life. So Taiwan has been working very hard since a long time ago around the kids who witness the domestic violence through the NGOs particularly and the government. So this is something shared with us, how NGO can make a difference through long-time international and good share. And thank you for your sharing. That's a great idea how we can make this through NGO, particularly long-time international. Thank you, Stasia. And can I have an honor to introduce next speaker? Next speaker will be from NGO 2. And the speaker is Chao Chao Lin. Are you here, Chao Chao? Chao Chao.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Okay, hello, everyone. I'm Cha Chao Li. I'm a social worker from Modern Women's Foundation. Today, my topic is the judicial social work practice for domestic violence in court, Taiwan's uniqueness. I want to share our experience in Shilin District Court. I've divided into 4 parts as follows. Okay, let's begin. First, I would like to introduce the Modern Women's Foundation. In 1987, Tina Tan, our chairperson, established the foundation. Our foundation aims to eliminate all forms of discrimination against women. under the traditional society. Meanwhile, balancing the gap between traditional and modern women's social roles. Since then, many domestic violence victims have turned to the organization for help, and this reflected the actual situation of gender inequality and disadvantage at the time. Therefore, the organization has gradually become the pioneer to promote anti-gender-based violence legislation in Taiwan. However, Taiwanese society did not fully alert the severity of harassment and violence experienced by women until 1993, when Deng Ruwen, a long-term victim of domestic violence, had killed her husband. Due to the inadequacy of relevant laws in Taiwan, Deng Ruwen had nobody to turn to when she was violently treated, and thus led to the tragedy. As a result, the high-profile case drew public attention to the issue and further strengthened people's determination in promoting the Domestic Violence Prevention Act. In 1995, Judge Gao Fengxian completed the draft of the Domestic Violence Prevention Act, which took the domestic violence laws and documents in the United States, Australia, and other countries as reference. Later, the act has been advocated by women's groups such as the Modern Women's Foundation and was finally enacted in 1998. After the Domestic Violence Prevention Act was enacted, Taiwan's local governments have set up domestic violence prevention committees. Meanwhile, the Taipei City government has gradually studied and disseminated domestic violence prevention and also control projects. Judge Gao Fengxian, a member of the Domestic Violence Prevention Committees, has carried out a new service model and set up the Domestic Violence Service Center to make social worker service available in court. With the tripartite cooperation between the NGO, the government, and the judiciary, the service center was implemented at the Shiling District Court in 2001 and received many positive feedback. The following year, Taiwan Shiling District Court and Taipei City government set up a joint service office for domestic violence incidents. At the same time, the Modern Women's Foundation provides professional social work services. In 2020, the number of domestic violence cases in Taiwan has reached around 141,000, of which 77,575 were reported for the first time, accounting for 55% of the total number of reported cases. Since 2002, the Modern Women's Foundation has successfully undertaken domestic violence service office in local courts like Shiling, Taipei, Hsinchu, Taichung, and Hualien. Social workers need to assist 154 cases each year, with an average service time of more than 5 months per case. The Domestic Violence Intercent Joint Service Office program aims to assist sufferers who are considered socially disadvantaged groups and might encounter difficulties during the judicial procedures without resources and consultation. Therefore, the office resolves these problems by providing completed legal consultation and social welfare services for help seekers. Meanwhile, creating more possible community resources. To sum up, the program's priority is to ensure the protection of the rights of the victims within a friendly and safe court environment. Okay, next, I want to talk about our works in Shilin District Court. First, we provide consultation on laws and procedures related to domestic violence, and we also assist in applying for protection orders and divorce proceedings related matters. Second, we assist victims of domestic violence and child witness before, during, and after the court action. Third, we create brief introduction for services so that people who seek assistance from the court can easily understand our service content. Moreover, since social workers assist the client with the core procedures and inform their rights, professional litigation still needs to be offered by the lawyer. Hence, our referral services ensure the client receives legal assistance and financial assistance according to their needs. Furthermore, we arrange visits to domestic violence prevention institutions and provide lectures in school to strengthen the network's connection and interaction. Last but not least, we provide support meetings, counseling, crisis management, personal safety, and physical and mental condition assessment, safety plan formulation, tracking service, analyzing, and evaluating the individual's problems and needs. In addition, we offer supervised visitation. This allows judges who observe the parents' ability to take care of their children. Counseling. Social workers help clients to connect the counselor. Family mediation. Discussion for parents to take care of their children together after divorce. Parenting lectures. Parenting lectures help the parents to consider the best interest of the child, and summer camps for children help children in a high conflict environment recognize their own emotions and improve their adaptability to the changing environment. Okay, in the future, we hope to create a user-friendly course structure and environment, and highlight the social work profession and its importance in the judicial system. This is the end of my presentation, and thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you very much, Chao. You did a good job for us because you have long experience in Modern Women's Association, and Modern Women's Association has been doing a lot of advocacy work for violence against women law. For instance, Domestic Violence Act, which has been initiated by Modern Women Foundation. And I remember that it's kind of a disaster when we don't have a state role intervene in the family business. Now, intimate violence against women has been the part of the special work for our society. So can I have honor invite the next speaker, Tyrone? Tyrone, are you here?
Yes, I can hear.
Yeah. Yes, Tyrone, would you introduce yourself first?
Okay, thank you. Good day, honorable sirs and ladies. The topic of my presentation is tertiary prevention strategy for gender-based violence in Taiwan. I'm the Deputy Director General of Department of Protective Services of the Ministry of Health and Welfare in Taiwan. I've worked in the government for 24 years. Most of my work experience is related to dealing with gender-based violence. My presentation is divided into 3 parts. First is the background, and then we will talk about how Taiwan promotes gender-based violence prevention. And then in the end, I will cover the future direction we are heading of the prevention against gender-based violence. First, I will introduce the background of Taiwan's prevention of gender-based violence. Taiwan has a history of more than 30 years in preventing gender-based violence. From 1987 to 1996 was a period of rapid development of the feminist movement. During this period, 2 famous incidents of gender-based violence occurred, leading to the passage of several important laws, which are the Sexual Assault Crime Prevention Act and Domestic Violence Prevention Act. In 2005, we also formulated Sexual Harassment Prevention Act. These bills are the most important regulations for gender-based violence prevention. In 2016, we undertook the survey on intimate partner violence against women for women aged 18 to 74. The results show that 1 in every 4 women has been subjected to partner's violence acts in their lifetime. And the survey also shows that 1 in every 10 women suffered from violence from their partner in recent 1 year. The main type of violence is psychological violence, accounting for 21%, followed by physical violence, accounting for 9%, economic violence accounting for 7%, sexual violence accounting for 4%, and stalking and harassment accounting for 4%. Taiwan reports more than 110,000 domestic violence victims every year, including intimate partner violence, child abuse, elder abuse, and violence between other family members, of which more than 70% are women. Actually, the proportion of male victims is gradually increasing. About 50% of domestic violence victims are intimate partner violence victims. Female victims accounted for more than 80%. In 2020, the number of male victims are doubled than 10 years ago. During COVID-19 pandemic, the number of intimate partner violence victims was 4.7%, up from that of 2019. However, there isn't enough evidence to prove the increase of IPV is due to COVID-19, because there are about 1,000 positive cases in Taiwan as of today. People follow the CDC rules to wear masks and maintain social distance. We go to work and school and live our lives freely. We don't need lockdowns or other stricter measures to restrict people's activities. Therefore, there is no direct scientific evidence to show the correlation between IPV and COVID-19 in Taiwan. According to reports, the number of sexual assault victims is about 10,000 per year. More than 82% of them are women. The proportion of male victims is gradually increasing. More than 60% of children and young people are victims, and more than 80% of suspects are acquaintances. From sexual harassment complaint investigation results, we find more than 90% victims are women. Now, I want to introduce the Taiwanese model. Network cooperation is important to gender-based violence prevention. So we set up a network integration model to maintain victim safety. Relevant departments include health and welfare, police, prosecutor, education, labor, communication, justice, and other departments. We have also established public-private partnership. The central government is responsible for policymaking, providing subsidies and supervision. 22 local governments provide services or entrust or subsidize NGOs to provide service programs. NGOs are in charge of the service programs for victims, as indicated with the brown arrow. To prevent gender-based violence, we have adopted three-level prevention. At the base is primary prevention, which includes education, promotion, and community participation. We require all junior elementary schools implement domestic violence, sexual assault, and sexual harassment prevention education. Besides that, we promote community anti-violence grassroots projects. We hope to create a zero tolerance for violence in the community. One level up is secondary prevention. The focus is on early intervention. We have established a mandatory reporting system. Relevant personnel such as police, doctors, social workers, and teachers have to report to the local government when they are aware of domestic violence, sexual assault, or child abuse incidents. The 113 protection hotline provides 24/7 service. At this level, also service for children exposed to domestic violence is included. Schools must provide counseling for students who are exposed to domestic violence, and local governments also have some service plans to help them. At the top is tertiary prevention. The point is about providing comprehensive victim protection assistance and prevent recidivism, which includes emergency treatment, recovery plan, and treatment plan for the offenders. The key services include shelter, safety plan, provide therapy and counseling for victims, apply for a civil protection order, medical assistance, legal assistance, economic assistance, employment assistance, resource link, and perpetrator treatment plan. Next, I want to further introduce some tertiary prevention plans in Taiwan. The first is Domestic Violence Safety Net Plan. The purpose of the plan is to identify dangerous cases in time and immediately take protective measures to de-escalate violence. Then the network members discuss the risk factors of the case to develop a security plan. The plan has two important tasks. One is to conduct risk assessment. Frontline personnel involved in domestic violence, including police, medical staff, social workers, etc., use the Taiwan Intimate Partner Violence Danger Assessment tool to conduct risk assessments when victims ask for help. Another task is to hold multi-agency risk assessment conferences. In these conferences, network personnel share information, discuss, and make victim safety plans and network division strategies. Another tertiary prevention program is one-stop service plan for victims of domestic violence. The purpose of this program is to provide an integrated service model centered on the needs of victims. Victims can receive diverse services in one place to reduce their inconvenience and increase their willingness to receive services. The service content includes recovery services, employment assistance, housing services, and witnessing child services. About the future plan, we will establish network cooperation from the following 4 aspects to build a society with zero tolerance for violence. First, raise public awareness of gender-based violence. Second, strengthen and promote community anti-violence grassroots projects. Third, strengthen network cooperation. And fourth, provide comprehensive services with family as the core. Thank you for your listening.
Well, thank you very much, Donglong. I think Tyrone has shared a lot of information regarding how government policy from the central part. And I'm sure you have learned a lot. And hopefully in the future, just like Tyrone has said, that there's a partnership between government and NGOs. And hopefully we can build a very instructed society which share the burden between the government and NGOs. That's first point. And I really appreciate you share the three levels prevention program. I think this is a uniqueness in Taiwan, and hopefully it can be achieved as much as we can see. And can I have an honor to introduce the last presenter? The presenter was from the Taipei City government. And the Melody Lin, are you here?
Yes, hello everyone.
Yeah, the floor is yours, please.
Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for having me here in the panel. And I'm Melody Lin. I'm a public social worker from the Center for Prevention of Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault in Taipei City. And the topic of my presentation today is under COVID-19, new measures for responding dramatic needs of domestic violence. And here is the outline of my presentation today. I will start with the introduction of the center, and then I'll move on to COVID-19's impact on domestic violence in Taipei. And last, I will talk about the measures we take in response to COVID-19. And to start, the Center for Prevention of Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault was first a temporary task force affiliated to Taipei City government. And in 1996, we were transformed into an independent governmental organization. As the organizational chart here demonstrates the structure of the center, there are 5 main units providing different scopes of services to specific clients. And there are 3 affiliated task forces hired part-time from other departments. Now, there are 181 workers in the center, including 165 social workers. And as we are a specific organization responsible for handling domestic violence and sexual assault, we are also under the supervision of a committee consists of professional scholars and experienced workers. That's the main scopes of our jobs. We provide channels for victims to search for help emergency assistance, and follow-up supervision and assistance for the victims. And we also provide prevention treatment for offenders and promoting crime prevention activities. And last, we also hold trainings for professionals and work on other procedures relevant to domestic violence and sexual assault. Our ultimate goal here is to build a space of zero violence and zero harassment. And on the second part of my presentation, I'd like to talk about how the pandemic affects the domestic violence in the case of Taipei City. To have further insight into the influence of the pandemic, the figures are analyzed in two different phases of the pandemic. First is the peak period of COVID-19, started from January to May. The bar chart here demonstrates the figures during 2015 to 2020. And we can learn from the graph that the growth rate of total domestic violence sees a steadily upward trend over the 5 years. The average growth rate is about 5.24%. Particularly in 2019 to 2020, the total domestic violence increased by only 3.07%, which is seemingly reasonable figure compared with the same period during the previous years. And if we move on to the alleviation period from June to December, likewise, the 5-year comparison chart shows total domestic violence also experienced a steady growth. So there is no significant correlation between domestic violence and the pandemic. The increasing domestic violence figures can be attributed to the promotion of zero tolerance policy on domestic violence, as well as the encouragement of reporting violence incidents. The dark figure of domestic violence is therefore reduced. To further analyze the trend of domestic violence in Taipei City over the last decade, we have observed the following phenomena. The first one is child and adolescent protection has reached a peak in 2019 and 2020. The primary reason is the launch of social safety net program in 2018 and the modification of the Child Protection Classification Index. And the second phenomenon is intimate partner violence accounts for nearly a half of the domestic violence cases. It is mainly due to the government's strong promotion of reporting domestic violence, as well as the raise of public awareness of gender equality. The increasing number of reports of the counterpart offenders has made a strong evidence of this phenomenon. And the third one is the figures of elderly abuse has nearly tripled in the decade, which reflects the challenge of increasing care pressure in the aging society. In response to the continuously growing number of domestic violence, Taipei City Center for Prevention of Domestic Violence has been therefore expanding the social worker staff number in order to maintain a bearable and reasonable workload for each social worker. And for the last part of my presentation, I'd like to talk about the measures we take in response to the pandemic. First, I'd like to give you a brief overview of COVID-19 in Taiwan. Since the outbreak of COVID-19 in China, Taiwan has begun to adopt border control, strictly implementing 14-day quarantine and 7-day self-health monitoring policy in order to prevent community transmission. And as a result, there is no large-scale lockdown is imposed in Taiwan. And on top of that, both public and private sectors have been working together to fight against the pandemic. On the government level, the government acts as a leading role by starting to cancel large campaigns. Also, individuals are advised by the government to reduce group activities and avoid physical contact by practicing social distance. While on the level of general public, the concept of disinfection has been blended into our daily lives. Temperature checks and hand sanitizing are commonly everywhere. And facial masks are required in many public places. As a consequence, the pandemic has shown little impact on the daily lives of Taiwanese people. To have further understanding of the circumstances in the context of Taiwan, I would like to mention the unique characteristics of Chinese culture, the phenomenon of family members outbound for work or study, returning home for traditional festivals. On one hand, the geographical population movement would increase the risk of infection of the pandemic. On the other, more gathering time with family members means more interaction with each other, which may possibly create fights over the issues of housework or caring problems, or even worse, it is likely to cause domestic violence incidents. So with such basic knowledge in mind, I would like to share with you how we respond. In spite of the small influence the pandemic has in Taiwan, still we have established the responding mechanisms. The first one is about information collection before social worker paying visitation. Apart from the general visitation procedure, we take precaution to prevent social workers from the risks of infection. Additional information is required in advance of home visit, which allows first-line workers to make preparations to protect themselves. And such information contains TOCC, which stands for travel history, occupation, contact history, and the situation of cluster. Once the client is identified pandemic related, a high-risk case meeting will be held according to the risk level. Responding or alternative options will be deliberated by social worker in collaboration with network authorities, such as police and health departments. And here I'd like to discuss the dilemma of the priority. What is our priority? Is it client safety goes first, or should we prioritizing the prevention of the pandemic? With the help from communication software and online meetings, we are able to have strong and clear connection with network sectors. The complementation of expertise and share information enable the network team to deal with the domestic violence cases immediately and properly. And in terms of the safety of domestic violence victims, sometimes a shelter is needed. However, since there may be several possible scenarios for our clients, social workers are suggested to make different arrangements catering to the needs of clients. First, we have to know institutional shelters provide group living in a shared space instead of separate individual room, making it unsuitable for hosting victims under quarantine. Then, for clients tested negative for coronavirus, yet under self-health monitoring, social workers are allowed to follow the ordinary procedure of shelter. As for clients under the circumstances of having contact history with confirmed cases or having travel history to high-risk countries, it is compulsory to have an isolated place for quarantine. In such cases, if the client is assessed at high risk of personal safety by the social worker, the key is to separate the victim from the offender. So shelter the victim at the relatives or friend's place is the first choice. and the safety plan will be made with help from a professional social worker. However, if there is no shelter resources available, the social worker will collaborate with the domestic violence prevention officer from the district police station. The alternative way is to remove the healthy offender who is not under quarantine from home to a separate hotel, making the victim able to stay home alone during the 14-day quarantine. If both the offender and the victim are under quarantine, one of each will be asked to move to a designated quarantine hotel, while the other will be isolated at home. In addition, a petition for protection order for the victim will be made in order to prevent the unforeseen violent acts or harassment from the offender. In terms of clients assessed with low concerns over their personal safety, victims are allowed to stay home to finish the quarantine. Plus, to prevent unforeseen domestic violence, social workers will not only help the victim to make a safety plan, but also notify the domestic violence prevention officer from the police station to reinforce the surveillance and control on the offender. In general, facing the challenge of the pandemic, social workers need to stay alert and responsive to every possible situation of our clients and put their safety and best interests in mind. I consider both client safety and fighting against the pandemic are of equal importance. None of each shall be compromised. And that's all for my presentation today. Thanks for your attention.
Well, thank you, Melody. From the perspective of government doing domestic violence issues, particularly in the stage of violence, COVID-19, I think being a social worker, we need to develop new strategy how to help people who are in the domestic violence, but also to prevent COVID-19. Thank you so much. This is a unique program and unique policies and delivery system which has been set it for the violence against women, offender or victims. Thank you very much. And now, thank you, Melody. Now I'm going to share my research regarding the sexual assault in the campus. This is maybe the organization's last one, so please stay with me. In fact, this is an academic paper and which has been published already, but I'm using a very short time to talk about how it is so important to our society and how the research imply to our society. First one, because I was the president of the National Taiwan University, working for the gender equality education and doing kind of investigation of sexual assault and the campus gender education issues. This research is regarding how campus sexual assault, how serious it might be, and how is the institutional can help the victims from the sexual assault. And we are talking about psychological outcome, formal reporting, and institutional betrayal. And our research team highly emphasized the campus sexual assault because Taiwan has been a lot of history regarding how students from elementary school to even college, what happened to our society is many campuses suffer how to help students help themselves. So we have, even there's an awareness program, even we have a campus awareness campaign, still we cannot finish as early as quick as possible in terms there's a case. And the prevalence of sexual assault in higher education. This is the data from all over the world. So it's around 10%, something like this, but it depends. around in any kind of situation might happen. But our research also tell us campus sexual assault and experience, the victims can suffer a lot, including depression, PTSD, sleeping, and a sexual disorder, something like this. So our researchers will show us how important we have to face our situation in campus, which is, address the campus need for our students in helping them to face this issue. This is something we talk about sexual assault. Although reporting rate is quite low, but it doesn't mean there's cases low. So just show you a little bit. But what I'm going to tell you is the help-seeking behavior is very different from what we expect. Very few people will ask help because they feel shame, they feel not so comfortable to support to formal system particularly. But most of them will speak their situation through the program, like through the informal contact, like family, relatives, or friends. In campus, we find out most of the students will tell their friends, their classmates, but rather than talking to the institutional organizations such as Student Guidance Center or Help Seeking hotline. But this is something we can see from our research as well. But if we look at the result, if they don't make report, there's suffered a lot. So if you see what happened to our students, you can see there are a lot of systems might impact their sufferings or their reporting system. The first, you can see student might be under the system which may happen to her because of any kind of situation. First system is recording the behavior they suffered. Then, if they go to the micro system, informal system, which might need to provide informal support, but majority of students don't ask help through the formal system. And here's something called the cultural shame, so they won't ask through the macro system to ask help. So this is something we show from the system. And mostly these students might suffer from the secondary victimization or secondary rape, like social worker may provide a lot of advice, but sometimes some people who are social professional don't know how to help them, and the process of helping might also suffer because of secondary victimization. So, which I'm going to show you about institution betrayal. That means if we think about people who don't want to ask help, or particularly in the campus, here might be institutional betrayal. That means wrongdoings because direct from the institution, and student might doesn't trust the systems who provide service to them. So this is something we have to think about, how system can be functional and be trustable for the student who are suffered. And when we're doing our research, we thought many students don't trust system can help them. So we may give the words betrayal. That means if the system can do better, otherwise students won't ask help. And this is something we saw the betrayal from the mechanism of universities. So we don't want this kind of things happen, but still many students cannot ask help. They don't want to ask help. This is something we have to think about, betrayal of the system from the campus or from any formal system who provide services for the student who are suffered from the sexual assault. You can see, in fact, students who suffered in our campus or in other campus because of a sexual assault may need a lot of services from the system, but sometimes they just isolate themselves. They don't want to ask help. It's really hard. And what is institutional betrayal may be? We have a research collect data from 233 students, and you can see how they face in this kind of situation. And this is some data showing that why they don't want to ask help. And they don't feel there's a need. Sometimes they even suffer a lot, but they still say, oh, this might not be a good time to ask help. So in my personal experience in National Taiwan University, I saw students didn't feel in the first few minutes of first few days, even first week, but later they suffered a lot because they cannot go out because of some emotional sufferings. This is something we can show you from the data. And collectively, the study will get you the picture of Taiwanese university student how suffered from institutional betrayal. First, we try to see the prevalence of the campus sexual assault. We also want to see how is informal and formal help-seeking behavior from victims. And we also expect institutions' reaction can be better and better in the future. This is our research frame. You can see individual labels factor. Later you will see the gender difference. And also we collect data from institutional factors, which will show you how is institutional confidence is the key to help students to find help seeking. And sorry. Check better. And finally, we will show you how the psychological impact of the student might got if they don't ask help, or even they ask help, they still have some psychological suffering like depression, PTSD, and anxiety. So this is some data which I'm going to show you. Something we have found from the data is female students is more and male students less in our sample who got sexual assault. And yeah, in terms of age, yes, most of students are located in college age, between 20 to 24. And we use online questionnaire, and you know, many students will got online to respond rather than through the telephone survey. So this is something we say social media way to collect data, what we usually use right now. And all the content procedures of study was approved by the Ethical Committee of National Taiwan University. It's so important because our subject of research is human being. And there are some measurements regarding how we do the research. Sexual measurements, first measurement is regarding sexual assault victimization. Second measurement is depression and anxiety and symptoms. And then the last measurement is post-traumatic stress symptom, called PTSD. We also have some other measures I'm not going to tell you here, but institutional confidence and betrayal measurement is so crucial in our study. And thank you for original researchers done in the United States, Professor Rosensel and Smith and Fred, and you have done a good job for this research in developing the betrayal questionnaire. And among our participants, there's about 617 participants in this research. And they feel that there's a little bit different, but thinking about the gender difference, you can see, yes, very few female who suffered, who are the perpetrator. And yes, female can be the perpetrators. So you can see there's a little bit different, but the percentage is 1 out of 5 in terms of whole samples who are the perpetrator. And the survivors of sexual assault report more depression. So in my experience in my NTU, yes, if the student got sexual assault, it takes a long time to help them dealing with the depression. So you can see there's totally different, there's a data significant difference showing that people who suffered sexual assault reported more depression. And also anxiety symptom shows severely after the sexual assault. So we always ask students, if you got sexual assault, this is not your fault. This is the offender's fault, or campus fault, or even a society fault. So just come to help, because you need to deal with your anxiety and depression. And you also can see from our data, survivors and females tend to view there's less safe in campus. So maybe female persons tend to have insecure in campus because of psychological feeling around the physical environment in campus. And this is some further data regarding the gender difference. There's no gender difference if people suffered from the sexual assault. That means no matter you are male or the female, you may face the same problem, anxiety and PTSD, after maybe short time or long time. So we always ask students, if you have this kind of experience, don't just hesitate to ask help. This is not your fault. And zero tolerance, just as some of social workers say, some officers say from our government. And we also find out that there's we have a formal report system that we will expect people to show, and 70% of students ask informal resources, but very few people will ask help. So from the formal resource. So here our conclusion is that what happened to formal resource or formal system who provide service for students? Why students don't ask for help from the formal resources system, even like government or like the government system provided from the campus? So this is something we had to address. We had to work more in whole society. And usually formal system has provided a lot of service and very professional. How come the victims would not ask help? So this is something we have to think about in the future. And yes, whom are the suffered people ask for help? You can see a friend is number one in the university, and the second is a friend in other, not really the campus friend. But you also can see the family can provide much support and much help from our data. In one way, we say this is a very safe situation, so students have informal support. But in another way, your friends, your family might give you temporary emotional release. But don't forget, you need to ask professional support. So that we have done from our society, from our campus. So we also ask the other campus if you can ask students to have a formal report. So our final result, which I'm going to share you, is formal reporting is so important, and how we can do the campus campaign for help a student who want to make report to your university formal assistant program. And here is something show willingness to report. So just let you know, there's difference. Non-survivors might like to make report to the university, but the survivors might not able to perceive this is the way to deal with their problems. So we have to advocate this. And finally, we give you a regression model to see what is affecting their reports. And this is the data you can see from our analysis. If students suffer more, yes, they can do much better in the future. But institutional awareness program in the campus is also another way to help students to recognize this is the resource. You have to help them yourself. So this is something we find from our data. I think we need to stop here because of time limit. If you are interested in how sexual assault in the campus and how is their sexual behavior in Taiwan, and also how system provided in the campus cannot work very well and not attracted the victims to ask help. This is the data from our collection I will share with you. Thank you for your participation in our research. And now it's the time to open to the discussion. And we invite all the speakers, can you just get into the room? And we need your participation in the rest of half hour. We have very nice time control. And the rest of our half hour, we will have more discussion about what's impression from our audience and how you want to share more from your research or from your study or from your participation in the services. Or even some are from governmental agency would like to share your perspective how government can do more for our society, particularly women. So now it's the time. So if possible to have a question, and all the participants, would you just share your opinion and a question through our chat room, please? Since we are waiting, so is anyone would like to ask question? If not, I'm going to show you the question. This is some question which we would like to share with you, and maybe some question go to our speakers. Can I ask Melody, is any pandemic, does the pandemic show any influence on domestic violence? Is increasing in terms of number, or the severity is much serious than before? Can you ask reply this question, Melody?
Yes, hello everyone. And from the experience of Taipei City, according to statistics, there is no significant correlation between the pandemic and domestic violence. And besides, there is no large-scale lockdown has been imposed within the country. And also both the government and the general public are seriously practicing the prevention measures. So we may suggest the pandemic's impact on the domestic violence is rather small.
So it is no big difference, big increase in terms of domestic number.
Yes.
In our society, and you also have done a lot of awareness program for the society. So I think this is something we have to know. Taiwan's pretty safe. Even the domestic violence number will not increase suddenly. And can I have a question to Vivian?
Yes.
Yeah, Vivian. I think your program is so impressive and so excited to I think to the world of Dongtai International. So if possible, would you can you explain a little bit what is the orange color in the world has been used to address violence against women from Dongtai International perspective?
Just followed the UNESCO's request to have this orange color as a campaign color. Actually, it's not Dongtai's color. Dongtai's color is mahogany, according to our Dongtai bylaws. That means a kind of reddish brown.
Yes.
Used on Dongtai logos, banners, flags, and all kinds of Dongtai products. Even maybe on site, all our participants can see the logo. Yeah, I'm wearing just now. It's also reddish brown.
Reddish brown.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. But UN use orange card. Orange card has been used in over the world to addressing the kind of violence against women issues. So that's Zonta has followed this kind of universal campaign from all over the world. Okay, can I have a question to Chao Chao? Chao Chao, I think your program, judicial social work, is so different from others' social work working for the domestic violence. Can you address a little bit more how you can cooperate with the judge in the judges and other judicial officers, and how you help them integrate as a team to help women in this agency?
Okay, hello everyone. In Shilin District Court, judge will assign cases to us, the social workers, and suggest what kind of service we should provide. Meanwhile, judge will refer to the response form. It's a form we present to the judge, including the suggestion and evaluations of the case before he or she, the judge, make the judgment. So that's what we cooperation.
So this teamwork help a woman to act, get the call. Some women is helping, so you need help. So that means the woman in the asking of help at court need social work to help them to know what's the system and how you work with how you face the judge and how other officer. So you need to give them a hand to help them to face this kind of specific situation from the court services. Thank you very much. Then we have a question to Tyrone. Is Tyrone here?
Yes.
Okay. Tyrone, I really enjoy your talk about how government developed three labors prevention program and based on local delivery of service system. And your policy making is so impressive. So can you address more how you build up public-private partnership and what's the divisional work between the public and private sectors?
Thank you. With the increase in reported cases and the diversification of clients' needs, services not only rely on the public sector, but also require the private sector to provide more flexible services. In addition, primary prevention also requires the private sector to take root and enter communities. Communities are the most direct connections for victims to reach out, as well as for preventive measures to take place. Therefore, the governments provide subsidies to NGOs to develop a lot of programs for the services receivers. And we will keep strengthening public-private cooperation in the future. Thank you.
Great. Taiwan is a civil society full of NGO. Taiwan is a civil society full of NGO in advocating and providing service for the victims as well. So I think that's a great idea how you continue to your PPP, so the 3Ps, public-private partnership. Thank you so much for your further illustration for this issue. And can I have also the question to Stacia? I think you present very impressive model for us to think how Zonta International as a NGO cooperate with another NGO, Good Shepherd, in working with the witness program, kids witness program. Can you address why this program can be developed and why you want to, how and why you develop this kind of program through NGOs cooperation. Thank you.
Thank you, Lillian. When our club was first founded, our members, we discussed what are some of the most pressing issues related to women, as the mission of Zonta International is to empower women. And by chance, we met Good Shepherd. Thank you, Lillian. When we started our club, the members asked, what do we want to do in our club? And as a member of Zonta International, its mission is to empower women. We decided that some of the most pressing issues, one of which is violence against women, is something that we want to focus on. And we happen to have the chance to meet Good Shepherd. And we asked them, how can we help? And they told us about a website project that they were doing. And we thought it was a very good idea to be involved. We understand that violence against women is not only violence against women, it can also affect their children. And children are usually the silent victims. Unfortunately, this can affect them throughout their lives if no treatments are provided. But how do we reach out to these children? Since many children are not willing or not knowing how to reach for help. And with the platform, the website platform, we think that as any child can remain anonymous, this is a way for them to reach out for help. And we hope with the building of this website, we can really reach out more children. So they are no longer suffering in silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacia. It's so important for us to know how NGO and NGO can work together to help kids through like a witness caring program. Based on the social learning theory, kids who suffered from their young, if there's no better or suitable program help them, in their future will be suffer for life. So this is so great. NGOs such as Zonta International can give another NGO, Good Shepherd, a hand to work together and through kind of website platform building. And as I know, there's a website also provided to the parents, right? And also provide to the professionals. So I think Zonta International has reached very important kind of sectors who provide a comprehensive program for the domestic violence victims and who are dealing with the victims' children. So this is a good model for us. Any NGO, think about how you can help through any kind of perspective or any kind of sectors cooperation. Thank you, Stacia. If possible, will you go further about what is your future if you see this is a good program, and what is the future you might leading this your club going to domestic violence issues or helping the kids who witness domestic violence? Do you have any idea in terms of leadership?
Well, having this platform is the first step.
Yes.
Eventually, we want to be able to trace the children, how these programs are helping them, how effective these children are being helped. This is what we would like to see in the long run.
Okay. So maybe in the future, you might do like a evaluation program to see how is a website platform can achieve the goal from the beginning you said. So it is maybe you were doing like a evaluation program in the future. So thank you so much for your devoted devotion to this kind of unique program in Taipei. And can I have also a question to Cai Rong? I really like your triple levels of preventions. And
Thank
it's
you.
possible you would like to address which level you think which is so most important in your domestic violence program.
Okay. We have promoted prevention for gender-based violence over 30 years. In the beginning, we didn't have a lot of resources, so we must put the resources on the tertiary prevention to provide victims with protection. By the increasing of resource input, we realize that it won't work if we don't promote primary prevention and secondary prevention, because we will always have new problems coming up. Therefore, I think all three levels of prevention are equally important. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Tyrone. Thank you for your sharing. And then can I have also a question to Chao Chao? Chao Chao, you have a judicial social work experience, so I want to know how you ensure the personal safety of the social worker when they are working at court for the victims of domestic violence.
Okay, thanks for the question. Since there's no additional corridor in Zilin District Court,
Yes.
we will confirm the client's transportation before the trial. When the truth to leave after the trial, and request the judge to let us leave the court early when the trial ends. Yes, thank you.
Oh, thank you. This is personal safety protective provided by social worker when they ask the help in the court. Thank you very much. And finally, almost not finally, Vivian, are you still here? Yes, I guess so. District 31 of Long-Time International has done a great job for the advocating violence against women issue through the Orange to the World. Well, compared with other districts, do you think what is the uniqueness of District 31 who has done how for our society through the Orange to the World program? Can you address a little bit?
Okay, I think two features that I would like to bring up. The first one is we combined service and advocacy at one event, most of events, such as providing a volunteer clinic at a fair for new immigrants. And actually, those participants joined us to promote violence against women, so excited. And another example, Longxins went to visit a children's home for charity, and afterwards to start parading for Zongta Says No. And the other feature that I would like to say, we cooperated with local governments. For instance, through New Taipei City government's assistance, we with members from diplomatic corps to visit Prevention and Protection Center for domestic violence before meeting city mayor at the Orange Corridor for promoting Say No to Violence. That's what I think is the most valuable to mention. Okay, thank you, Lydian.
Well, thank you. I think Long-Time International District 31 has been working very hard how to protect women to be safe in our society. So I think that's a great idea. And in the future, District 31 can develop more significant program for our society through the private and public services coordination program. This is a great model for District 31, I guess. as I know, any other district in our in global perspective, we also can see how private and public can go hand in hand. So I really enjoy your program in terms of Orange the World, which has done in our society. And I heard many people say that District 31 can do very detailed program because your networking is in the whole island. Can you expect how is can you a little bit give us a little bit concept how you dress more in the later maybe 10 your term maybe 1 year. 2 years, okay. So you might like to say something about how local, long-time international can go together to shape out your idea.
No, especially for this biennium 2020 to 2022, our service project in District 31 especially focused on new immigrants.
Yes.
Definitely a plus Orange the World. Yeah. That's a kind of advocacy. But our service project is going, our service project focused on new immigrants. And many activities regarding new immigrants has been done already. And the following months, actually, we still have another plans from different Zongta clubs in Taiwan would like to put into their efforts to try to improve the lives of new immigrants. I have to say, since Zongta was established 101 years ago, its goal of advancing status women never changed. So we will continue, including District 31, our commitment to SDG number 5, achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls.
Thank you. We already know how is your mission is so heavy in your district. Thank you. And also your thought how you will develop in your future program for your district. Can I have last question to Melody? Melody, you say there's a TCC program has been done in domestic COVID-19 situation. So what is purpose a social worker do for this kind of TCC information collection?
Yes, from the perspective of a first-line worker, it is the precaution measure we take, not only to comply with the pandemic prevention protocols, but also to protect ourselves, health and safety. The information collected can help us to understand the situation of our clients in advance and make proper preparation accordingly. And we also cooperate with the network departments and take joint efforts to best serve our clients. Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much. That's our prevention program of no wonder our combating COVID-19 is successful in Taiwan, because even the social worker dealing with the domestic violence cases helping a lot through the TCC, which is required by the government. Thank you so much. And we still have several minutes, so now I'm using my privilege to ask everyone if you have any final words. Please limit your time like 1 minute and share your remarks to our last 5 minutes session. So can I go with Stacia? Stacia, yes?
Yes, I'm here. Hello. Thank you for the opportunity for us to share a bit of what we've been doing with Good Shepherd. And during this difficult time globally with the pandemics, as we understand that violence is escalating. domestic violence especially? How can we be more aware and how to prevent more cases from happening in the future? And I'm glad that we are here to discuss actual solutions and methods. Thank you.
Right, Sharon. Thank you very much. Can I have Rong Rong? Tyrone, would you give your final remarks to this session?
Thank you. It's my pleasure to join this this meeting, and I'm very happy I can share the Taiwanese model to the world. And thank you, Lillian. Thank you.
You're welcome. I highly appreciate you can share something about the government from the central government perspective. And I think you have done a lot for our society. Thank you for your commitment. I think you have been working more than 25 years. So you are the most familiar people about the policy of Taiwan. And Melody, please.
Yes, thank you for having me here. And I'm really impressed by Zonta, their contribution for women and the witness children. And I'm really happy to be here to share my experience from the perspective of a local government. And thank you all. Thank you.
It is so glad to have a local government who doing very well to hold domestic violence cases. Thank you. And can I have a final invitation from Chow Chow?
Okay, thank you. Thank you guys for having me here. I want to thank you everyone who work hard in this field. Although the approaches may differ, we all share the same goals and are sure to keep carrying out positive changes to the society. Thank you, everyone.
We need to give our time to District 31 governor because this is hosted by District 31 Longtime International. Vivian, can I have honor to have your remarks?
Okay, I just read a question from one of our viewer because I feel sounds she's a bit questioned. How can we do so much activities and events during 2020? I have to say, Taiwanese are lucky enough because our government contained COVID-19 very well. So most of our events and activities in District 31 can be achieved. And we really did a lot, especially on Orange World. And on behalf of District 31, I thank you today's participants to support our this special CSW event and to make it so successful and wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivian. Just like a host, sharing the platform to NGOs and GO. And thank you for all the participants. You are just great. And thank you all the speakers. You sharing such a great, nice content in dealing with every role which you are playing very well. And hopefully we can see each other next time, maybe in New York next year, and hopefully we can have a local and a central government cooperate together and NGO and NGO together for our victims of violence at the domestic violence or sexual assault in Taiwan. And hopefully we can learn something from each other. And next time when we see each other, we can have more share with the world. And thank you for participation. Thank you.
Nice to meet you all.